TOA community, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Robert Linkul, trainingtheolderadult.com. Nice to see you all. I am back from Canada, back making some content. We had a really good trip, and that pretty much rounded out 2023 for all of our traveling education. Now we have our in-house TOA workshop coming up this Saturday, November 4th. You can head over to trainingtheolderadult.com to find more information there. I believe we have 7 or 8 spots in-house still available, and as many online registrants as you would like to come. It's all recorded. In-house, you got all kinds of door prizes, t-shirts, lunch, breakfast, all kinds of good stuff. It's going to be a great event. This will be an annual event, so if you can't make it this year, please mark your calendars for next year. All right, let's dive into this. This is another one of my favorite sources of content, silver sneakers. I think, I don't know, I've probably done 10 to 15 videos on silver sneakers. And everybody like my new shirt, the bunker. My wife made this for me. I love it. Really cool. Coming soon, if anybody out there wants one. Out of those 10 to 15, I think maybe 1 or 2 have been positive. And so this one's not going to be another one of those. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not a good one. Anyhow, it bums me out because they have so many people. I've seen their newsletter numbers, how many people open these and how many people get these, and I just wish their content was better. So anyhow, the beginner's guide to cardio machines. Now, I know there are going to be some people that come on here and they're like, why are you always picking on them, this and that? Remember, it's your responsibility as a professional health and fitness professional, whatever they are, right? It's your responsibility to give good content, not just stuff, or else you're the Inquirer, you're Star Magazine, right? So that's where I'm like, I wish there was a little bit more to this. So yes, these are fine cardiovascular alternatives, but are they the best ones? Are they really even good ones? So I guess the alternative here is tone your total body and mind with these treadmill alternatives, okay? If we're going to come at this article with a focus, let's have that be it, since obviously that's the title that Sarah Newkirk gave it. Her first exercise suggestion beyond the treadmill is to use the stationary bike, okay? Stationary bike is a good place to build up endurance, and you can confidently move to a non-seated machine. So you can move to okay, your first workout should be about learning how to use the equipment and progressions. So the bikes, okay? Bikes in general, the best bike that you're going to get, in my opinion, a Peloton bike or a Kaiser bike. Their bikes are sweet, okay? They're expensive, but they're sweet. What do both of those have in common? They're upright bikes, okay? When you have, as the average older aging individual has, okay, let's go through the most common limitations the older body has. Arthritis, degenerative disc, sciatica, neuropathy, okay? Of all of those 4, those are some of the most common that older adults see. Of those 4, how many of those are affected by prolonged sitting? All of them are, right? So if you have any of those, okay, and you're going to now sit on a device and cycle your feet in front of you, right? Why do you think the bikes, when you see people, because I know everybody's like, well, what about the recumbent bikes we see out on the bike trails? Watch how they're actually seated. In many cases, they're almost laying down, okay? They are in a recliner, right? They're in a recliner. Not here. You're sitting at 90 degrees, baby, right? Maybe reclined a little bit, but not much. And you can't adjust the angle of the seat. You can only adjust how far back, how far forward it goes, okay? So feet start to fall apart, feet start to fall asleep, and you cannot move apart any of the other directions other than further, away from the pedals. Here's another component to this. What are you utilizing to cycle the pedal? Your hip flexors, okay? What does almost every single person on this earth overdevelop over their lifetime? Their hip flexors, right? So do we need another exercise that's going to be hip flexor dominant with every single cycle? And I know if you're a good cycler, you're going to learn how to pull your feet around. We're not talking about good cyclers. We're not talking about people that are clipping in. We're not talking about people that they're going to be wearing their sandals half the time while they're doing this, okay? This is not a professional biking seat. So if I'm going to put people in a better position, I'd want them to be in an upright bike. And especially a Kaiser or Peloton bike, they can adjust almost every angle, almost every position. Even some of the Kaiser ones can adjust the handle height to be more upright. So you could be in a much better position with your feet way below your heart, even with the pedals and the seat moved adjust or forward or back, where you can work more of a posterior chain pulling around, even if you don't know what you're doing, just by setting yourself up into a better position. So yes, the stationary bike is a seated bike exercise, but is it better than walking on a treadmill? Not in my opinion, okay? Not in my opinion by a long shot. Number two, I'm going to come back to this one because I got some shit to say. Let's go to the rowing machine, okay? Here we go. What are everything we just talked about, okay? Plus, let's put people in a position where if they're not in the perfect position with every single rep, what are they going to do? They're going to forward fold and round their back. They're going to deep flex their hips. They're going to get up on their toes and into a deep knee flexion, and then push on their toes, push through their knees, push through their hips, lean back and pull with their arms, right? So if you're not in the perfect mechanical position for this every time, what are you going to abuse? Your lower back. I got into a discussion / argument with somebody once on the internet who just said all people need to do is row. If everybody would just get on the rowing machine, all their problems would be fixed, or something to that effect. And I disagree. If people would work their posterior chain, I 100% agree with that, right? I think 90% of physical limitations of the body can be fixed by getting the backside of that body part stronger, because almost all of those injuries occur because the front side of the body is too strong. Everything that we do in life is right in front of us. So what musculatures are we going to overdevelop? The ones that are right in front of us. That's why we call them the C muscles, right? You can see them, so you train them more and it turns you into a C, right? It folds you into that forward position. So these are not the best musculatures to be overdeveloping. Actually, it's the posterior chain that's a better approach. So I agree with that and the idea of doing more rowing, but not the rower, okay? The ski erg machine, now you're talking, okay? You're not seated, you're standing. You have a hinging mechanic that actually encourages you to be in a traction position with your spine and encourages you to displace your hips, push your hips backward into a proper hinge. Now, can you do the ski erg machine wrong? Absolutely. You can do any exercise wrong, but which one's going to put you in a position to be more successful? Which one's not going to encourage you to, unless you're in the perfect position, to be in a bad position? The rower itself, either the concept two, I think there's C and D or D and E or something like that, right? The low or the high, either one. Neither one of them are going to put you in a great position unless you are in the perfect chest up, good postured, forward hinging posture, which then, great, okay? Then you're probably in a good position, but you're pushing on your toes. Now, granted, you're not pushing all of your body weight, but a pretty significant amount of your body weight. I'm going to say at least half, maybe 2/3, right? On your toes. Is that a mechanical advantage position that we want to be on? Not for most. So now we push, we row. What pulls us back in? Ideally, it should be the mechanics of pulling the handle, but for a lot of people, they finish with their arms and then just stop. They kill that momentum and then they pull with their toes and their kneecaps to get them back in, right? Ideally, they would pull with their hamstrings, but when you're on your toes, that's really difficult. So it turns into an anterior tib exercise, which again, isn't bad if you're going to do a set of 10 or 20. But we're going to do the rowing machine for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. We're talking hundreds of reps that they're going to abuse their toes, their shins, their knees, their back. And this is, I look at everything as, if I'm not here to watch you do it, how successful could you be? I don't think the seated bike, the recumbent bike, or the rowing machine are two anywhere even on my list that I would have people do on their own. Okay. Again, any exercise done in proper positions, you could get hurt on. So I'm not saying these are dangerous. I'm saying for beginners who are going to do this on their own, no. Okay. This, again, another one I wouldn't have them do. So now let's talk about the elliptical. Okay. The elliptical is a great idea. It's a great idea. The idea of not having any impact for people that can't have impact on their body is a great idea. Maybe they have an injury. Maybe their bones are so brittle that the impact of walking can hurt them, right? So how can we start to create movement and momentum and develop a then to stand on something where it would either cycle or shuffle or slide. Remember the Nordic track? This was kind of the first attempt of the elliptical machine. You stood and kind of pushed your belly against a pad, and your feet were in two wooden skis on ball bearings, and you had handles, and you did the arms and you did the legs. Tony Little later turned this into a swinging elliptical machine that he could lean way back. Remember the guy with the ponytail, and he wore all white and he was super jacked, right? That guy didn't do a whole lot of cardiovascular exercises to look like that. That guy was probably injecting something into his body, which I think later on came to be true, if I'm remembering that exactly right. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure. Anyhow, I'm a Tony Little fan, so I'm not talking shit, okay? Just saying, that guy lifted a lot of weights. He got that body by lifting weights, not by doing that little elliptical machine, okay? But the idea and the design to that, it all led up to what we all know as ellipticals today. Something where my feet are set and I can work through a range of motion. So the idea is good. The design is flawed. Do I know a better design? I don't. So I'm doing that thing right now where it's like, I'm going to complain about something, but I don't have a better answer other than don't get on the elliptical machine. Just walk on the treadmill. Because here's the problem. The elliptical is designed for someone who is between 5'5" and 5'8", and they have a gait length of 2 feet, 2.5 feet. Whatever it is. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm saying it's a fixed number for this height and this gait length, right? And if you don't fit that exactly, if you're shorter than that, you have to overstride to keep up with the machine, which usually looks like you trying, like you're walking through snow. You got to get your legs up and over and through, and it's so big. But then if you're taller, if you're 6'4", 6'5", then you're doing these little tiny, you're the Flintstones underneath, your little tiny steps, and your hips are doing this little shifty back and forth thing, right? This is the machine that is designed for one size, but we try to fit it to all. So if we do that for thousands of hours and reps and everything else that we do in between, do you see how it can have a damaging effect on our posture, on our gaits, and this? So again, I know people are going to hear all this and going to be like, you're really nitpicking, but what is our profession? What is it? What is my job? My job is to give you the best opportunities to get in the best shape and to give you information that can help you make an educated decision. So do I personally prescribe these 3 pieces of cardio equipment to any of my clients? I absolutely do not. Number 1 is go out and walk and or ruck if you can do it, walking with weight on your back. If for any reason you can't walk, where do we go? To the pool. The pool is a great place to get cardio. Let's say you can't swim. What do you do next? The Versa Climber machine is one of my favorite ones to go to. But Rob, that's really hard. I know. Slow down. Don't do it for 30 minutes. Do 5 to 7 minutes. Take your time. Learn how to do it right. How can I possibly get into a bad position on the Versa Climber? You would have to try. Okay? It's designed to keep you in a very good position. Right? How about another one? The stair mill versus the stair stepper or the elliptical. The stair mill is that giant machine in the back of the room that has the escalator that brings the steps around, okay? But then you're like, wait, those are 10-inch steps that are all fixed, but I can put my feet wherever I want. I can put them out wide, I can put them in narrow, I can put them in deep, I can have my heels hang off, I can adjust, and at least I get the freedom of placing my feet where I want. I'm not fixed. Plus, I'm in a vertical climbing position. It's very difficult for me to get into the wrong positions on that because I'm getting to create a postured position, hanging on the rails, placing my feet where I want. I would have to try to get into bad positions. Now, granted, you could forward fold and put your head down on the machine and let your knees buckle in and out. There, any exercise out there we can do wrong and we can hurt ourselves on. Which ones are going to give us the best opportunities? Walk outside. Walk on a treadmill, wear weight while you do it, rucking, any of those options. Get in the pool. If you can't swim and you can't tread water, treading is one of the best cardiovascular exercises that you can do. It's long endurance and it trains every musculature in your body. It's great rehab, okay? Especially if you have a lower back, hip, or knee injury, it's great rehab, okay? But again, make sure you're cleared to go and do that. If that's something you just heard and you're like, ooh, I got to rehab my back, talk to your physician, your doctor, your physical therapist first, okay? Now, after that, the Versa Climber is awesome. The stair mill is awesome. The upright bike, as we talked about, awesome. I'm not anti-cardio, people. I'm anti-putting you on pieces of equipment that put you in bad postures. And all 3 of these do that. That's what I'm saying at the very beginning of this thing is who researched this and said, these are the ones I think we should all do. And if that's the answer, why? Give me your answer why, because this doesn't tell me why you picked it. All of the things that you said on these three, I could say for any piece of cardio equipment, right? Any of them. Why did you pick these three in particular? Because I get to sit down? That's your answer? These aren't people that can't stand up. Like if that was my only answer, okay, you have clients who they can't stand up. What do you want to do now? The VersaClimber has a position that you can sit in and VersaClimb. The Ski Erg has a position that's got a little ramp thing comes up behind you. You can sit on and perform. There are other options. Just this is probably the easiest one and the most recognizable one. Okay. And I think that's what something like this is it's an article of things that are recognizable and we needed something to talk about. So this is what we get. But as I like to say, you should always have a reason why. Answer my question why. And if you don't have a good answer to it, then it probably shouldn't be an answer that you're giving out to people. Anyhow, what are your thoughts on all of this? I'd love to hear it. Comments, questions, feel free to hit me up down below. If not, please subscribe. Please hit that bell. Alerted to anything and everything that we put out for you. Up and coming events, up and coming videos. Much love and appreciation to all of you. Please continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.